Hi, this is Sergio Dominguez, creator and star of The Sergio Show, doing an audio commentary for Season 1 of The Sergio Show, starting with the episode that started it all, Episode 1. So, when I was young, I grew up watching a lot of animated movies and TV shows, and I always wanted my own animated series. So, I bought some animation software, I practiced with it, and I decided to make my own show. With very little information involved, but I made it anyway. So the first episode didn't have a script. It had some moments where it was written, certain segments, because maybe I couldn't remember it all, so I ended up doing that. I was 16, almost 17 at the time when I made this, but I was very anxious and eager to finally make some animation, especially a series. So I went in straight to it, in a very non-traditional way that animated shows are made. The form of animation I use is this thing called puppet animation, keyframe puppet animation, where I just make one drawing of this character, split it into pieces of what, body part it is, or rig them with these, digital pegs. Then I animate them by just doing a key pose and the computer does the in-between. The software I use is Toon Boom Studio version 3.5. I got it back in April 30th of 2007. And this episode took about 6 weeks from early March, and I finished it early April. It came out April 27th, 2008. So a lot of the episode is improv, especially the phone call scene with Juan that you're seeing right now. Now, this phone call with Juan I actually did record over the phone. I had my microphone placed in front of the phone, this recording device that I had, and it was just me and Juan improvising. I was like holding the phone, and we were talking. Juan was trying to improvise, and we were trying to just get out of the scene. Now, the first line that was actually recorded for the show, Juan was there. I decided to give my recording device improvise this one line. And the first line of the show that was ever recorded was, "Hello and welcome to the Sergio Show. I'm your host, Sergio Dominguez." When Juan heard that, he's like, do it again. So I did it again, and the second take was better. So the first recording for the show ever was the hello line, but it was the second take. Then later on I did the introduction and the rest of the episode. But yeah. That's when I also promoted Juan as producer on the spot too. I asked him, he said, yeah, sure, and that's how it worked. Now my little sister Lydia, I should have drawn that better, but I don't know why, but that was a good idea at the time to design her like that. Looked ridiculous and haunting. Ugh. But over time she got a couple redesigns, but ultimately she left the series, which is an episode I will get to when I get to it. Yeah, the animation was very stiff and stilted, but at the time I was so excited to make this, Looking back, it was very crude, but I would learn more from my mistakes, and it would improve later on. And the episode that you're seeing right now is actually a cut. It's not the original version of the episode. Because of copyright reasons, a certain website won't let me upload the episodes I wanted, so they all had to be edited down to avoid these standards and getting in trouble. So yeah, originally this was like a 10-11 minute episode. I think it was originally longer. It had segments talking about other cartoons because I always wanted it to be an animation satire of a show. But it was like that for 5-6 years, but then unfortunate moments happen, and the episode now has been altered. The original 100 has been altered, but I'm still picking up the pieces, and the show is still going with these new standards, and I think it's been okay. Little do we know, this would be the beginning of a pretty long series. This episode came out about a decade ago, and learned a lot, and it's been a weird episode, but a great experience. And it would be the beginning of something very big and animated and beautiful. And the have an animated day line was improvised on the spot, but I loved it, and have an animated day would be the ending to that. So that was the first episode of the Sergio show. Needed work, or ultimately I did work on it a decade later, but it was a nice episode. I was very proud and excited about it, and I knew looking forward at the time I would make more of these episodes, and it would be a beginning to a great series. Alright, episode 2. So after making the first episode, I wanted to make the second episode, and I was excited, and I thought, okay, let me try different segments and different ideas. The first thing I thought for this episode was, what if I use a mobile that farts, like a farting flying machine, and I would do that, and it would be a stupid stunt, and it would be called Sergio's Stupid Stunt. It was kind of recurring, but it never lasted that long, and it was a fun idea at the time. Still excited, so decided to work on that as the second episode. And I think there were other segments. Haven't seen a lot of these episodes in a while, so it's kind of like rewatching these episodes for the first time all over again. Even though they're all heavily edited. The second episode took about 3 weeks to make. It was kind of fast for its time, even though I was still learning, and I had pretty primitive technology with me. This HP computer from 2000, this iPod recording device accessory, and this Wacom tablet. I didn't have that Wacom tablet in the first episode making it, but the second episode, yeah. I'm drinking some water. And there were still some things about Toon Boom that I didn't know. Like animating the camera, because that zoom out that you saw was actually shrinking everything. If I knew about the camera zoom, how to animate the camera, I could have done that, but I wouldn't realize that until later on. Now, Juan's in this episode, and I actually was in the room with him recording this. We didn't do this over the phone. He was right there. I think I went to his house for this. And the lines were simple. I still didn't have a real script. So whatever line I had that needed to be read, I would just quickly write down and read off of that. Still learning, still new about this. I do want to go back to the first episode, actually, because it was a unique experience, the first episode, because when I was done with the first episode, I was in high school. And when I finished the first episode, I would tell teachers about this. They would actually play the first episode in high school and during class in front of everyone. And in every class I went to, I would tell my teachers about it. They would actually play it. And I would watch the first episode in front of everyone. It was so weird to watch the episode by yourself, but then watch it in front of other people. It was such a, I want to say cringy, but really exciting experience. I actually like this joke in the second episode here. I'm in pain, body cast, what? Time card, and I'm back to normal. That was a classic cartoon thing. I think that was part of a little bit of a satire, parody. A take on that. I thought it was cute. Very cute joke. Yep. Let's see. What else is going on in the episode? Oh yeah. Now Deanie's also a friend of mine from middle school, and he wanted to be in the show after the first episode, so I gave him like a small part here. He only had 2 episodes. This one and the next one you're going to see, and he never appeared again. But yeah. Juan, I'll talk about Juan right now. Juan has been a friend of mine since 2005. He was such a great friend, and we're still friends to this day. He still comes back for the show whenever, and he's been a great sport and a great friend, and later on a surprisingly good actor. Looking back on the show, I noticed how good of an actor Juan is, at least, playing himself. But it was fun. He's a fantastic friend, fantastic producer. By fantastic producer, I mean he leaves me alone and lets me do what I want. I mean he gives his opinions, but yeah. So my sister also wanted to bring her friend to this. I remember recording the line only take 5 seconds, but they were stalling because, you know, they wanted to do other things. But they knew about the show. They wanted to record real quick. It was quick, just one line, but she just came in, recorded, and went to play with my sister outside. It was like that. This is so awkward, but it's hilarious, and yeah, it is weird. He just slid across the screen. That happens. And Dean appeared again. Wow, I think this is edited, but yeah, he keeps appearing, and he doesn't appear after episode 3. Yeah, the mouth animation looks weird, but it's weird only because I positioned it and drew it like that. It looks really crude, the drawings and where the mouths are placed. The lip sync of the animation is done in Toon Boom, which there's a process where I just have to take the recording, set it to lip sync mapping, then take the mouth shapes that are already also coded to what letter they are, press a couple buttons, and then the mouth animation is done for me. And that's how that worked. You know, I didn't really do any effort in looking over the animation. I just used the mouth animation, moved on, be sure which mouths are the happy, sad mouths to use in the scene, and that's it. That's how it worked. And that was episode 2. Episode 3! And the whole series. Wow. So, wait, where am I? Oh yeah, now it's episode 3. My mistake. Episode 3 was an interesting episode. This also took 3 weeks to make, and I wanted to do something that I didn't like as a joke, and that was homework. Hated homework so gosh darn much. I decided to have a moment where I just destroy homework. Yeah, I would get frustrated, destroy homework, only to realize it was all a fantasy of mine to do the homework. And then I would just do the homework anyway. Simple joke, but I really enjoyed doing that at the time. Now coming up is going to be a montage of me destroying homework. Very comical, very brutal, very stiffly animated. But there's one segment that I was never happy with, but I went with it anyway. That's when I smoked homework. Somehow I rolled it into a cigarette and smoked it. And it was like, ugh, should I really keep it? I'll keep it anyway. It's a cartoon, why not? But looking back on it, it was even an issue back then. I mean, my friends or classmates at school would watch the show at the time, and even teachers would see this. But they were okay. It was not really that big of a deal. Yeah. Originally it was slower. What you're seeing is pretty sped up. That's me. It's better fast forward, but in slower pace it was just awkward. Singing fast forward is much better. Just because the pacing of it was better. Oh, it was funny. When Juan saw this and saw that one shot where the torch was positioned, it looked really suggestive. And look, it's all a dream. Oh, I wish I did that. But no, I'm loyal. I'm loyal to my work. As you can see. Now, the next scene you're going to see is my little sister Marilyn, her first appearance on the show. She appeared a couple more times. But here she was like 6, almost 7 years old. And she wanted to do voice work on the show and decided to, okay, you can be on the show. I drew her so weirdly, even later on when she saw it, it was like, what? I don't know why she designed like that. Later on, I would redesign her a couple of times, sure. But yeah, that first drawing, I was like, what was I thinking? But the whole series is just a big old what was I thinking? Which was being creative, being imaginative, just doing whatever I want because it's animation. But her performance is adorable. She sounded so young, so cuties. Which, of course, she was young. But it was quick. Speaking of more awkward moments, it's my mom! Wow! It's even weirder to realize that whole scene with my sister only took a couple seconds because you see the homework is done. So I just finished that pile of homework within seconds. Why was I complaining about it in the first place? Anyway, my mom, gosh darn it, bless her, she was a good sport. The design mostly was not the best, and my mom, not an actress, but I appreciate the effort. Originally, she was going to have another episode to be in, but I decided to write her out. And she was okay with it. We moved on. Oh, the hockey thing. Yeah, I actually had a air hockey table back then. I think that was actually me recording the air hockey noises too, the clicking sound. And I thought, I'll do a hockey puck joke, some puns. Ridiculous, cheap, but funny at the time. To me, my 17-year-old mind, it happens. I don't know why it looks like that. Yeah, I was terrible at air hockey in this episode. Wow. I think I still have the original drawing of it. Yeah, I got really frustrated. I really got frustrated with playing air hockey. I thought it would be funny if I was just losing. And also a little bit more realistic if I did. Alright, Dean's second and last appearance. For now. I saw him in a video chat like a couple weeks later. And before that, I haven't seen him in a long time. But he's doing just fine. And here I go. That was weirdly timed puck. It just moved slowly and then bam, hit me in the head and I disappeared. Oh god, that was some weird movement right there. But it's just hilarious how that can happen. Especially when you have someone like me at the time animating this. Alright, fade out because it probably was edited. Probably copyright reasons. I took out a segment. Am I ending this episode? This one. I was begging for views and attention. I'm trying to do less of that. I've been doing less of that. But I thought it was a funny joke at the time. Because the whole website that the show was on was so different back then. But yeah, me begging makes sense. Especially back then. I think I would do it a couple more times. But that was the second episode. 2 down. 148 more to go. Second episode was okay. Alright, episode... What is this? Episode 4? Where am I? Oh no, episode 3. Pardon me. I got my episode guide with notes here. Trying to keep track of this episode, but yeah. This is actually episode 4. So the previous one was episode 3. I'm just trying to keep track and look back on this. Barely remember it, but gosh, it was so pixelated back then. I think I was also frustrated because of how grainy everything was, but yeah, but the episode qualities back then were pretty rough. I gotta see if I have some of these original files, but I don't know. Oh, episode 4. It's a weird episode, and it was also a pretty low point in the show. Why low point? I mentioned earlier it takes a couple of weeks to do an episode of the show, but with episode 4, it was a pain to make because this episode took about 4 or 5 months to make. From episode 3 to episode 4, people had to wait 4 to 5 months. And that was so unfortunate. At the time, I was moving. The episode was taking a while. I was moving from state to state. Everything was being shut off. We were all packing up, getting ready to go over the summer. This was happening over summer break also. So unfortunately, it was tough. It was tough on the episode and tough on the series from that point on, because the first episode had a couple of views, like a couple hundred views within the first couple of days. Then follow up, since it was only 3 weeks later, it also had a couple hundred views in a couple of days, and that was consistent with the first 3 episodes. A couple hundred views within a couple of days. But with episode 4 taking months, and then people finally getting it sometime in October of 2008, views were just gone. Like, the long people moved on from the show. And from there, views were just microscopic and small. And from episode 4 to episode, God, I can't believe I'm saying this, 90 or so, views were so small. Very, very small since then. It really was like the audience I was building up was just gone. Just only from between episode 3 and 4 alone. It was shocking and tough, but I needed to get my audience back. I didn't want to quit just for that reason. I had a lot of ideas, and I had a lot of pent-up urge to make cartoons, animated videos, and the show is just a great venue for that. So yeah, this was an unfortunate episode. This episode had a lot of segments. Originally, I was going to do internet parodies, and I did one, but copyright reasons, I had to cut it out later on. It even was its own video for a while, uploaded separately, but I ended up cutting it out. I think Juan was a reason, and the moment where he said, do something else. Do something else that you want to do. And that was also a moment in the episode. So, Juan can be very supportive and can help me talk into out of things, but he's been great. This talk show moment right here, because he doesn't do that much talk shows, even though it's set up like a talk show desk, kind of it. Later on in the episode, I finally acknowledge it. But yeah, this is actually not drawn by me, this Dirter character. It was a existing template in the animation software Toon Boom that I have. And this talk show moment was supposed to be a parody of dumb people, dumb cartoons, because there are cartoon idiots out there. There's so many different kinds. You know what I'm talking about. So that was my take on that. Were they talking to a cartoon idiot only to realize he's smart? Because it's nice and ironic and all over the place. So let's see. Oh, that was episode 4. Yeah, I knew this was actually longer. Supposed to do a couple more things, but that was episode 4. It took long. It hurt the show so badly. And obviously directionless, but I think the talk show with Dirter moment was okay. But yeah, this is one of the moments in the series where I was just picking up the pieces and try to do the show more often now that I'm finally finished moving. And continuing with the next episode. Alright, episode 5. What do we have here? Yep. This is the first episode where I made it in the new place where I moved. This one took 2 months to make. And that was a consistent thing. Every 2 months was an episode. Yeah, I would make the episode in about 2 months at a time for a certain amount of time. So, let's see. What was episode 5? Oh, signature food! Yeah, the signature food episode. Yeah, because I was still thinking about things to parody in animation and in cartoons, and there was, like, signature food cartoons would have. When you think of a couple of cartoons, you would think about what their favorite food is. Sergio in his show doesn't have that. Later on he does, and this episode was kind of a example of that, but never really became the official food. It was just a joke, and it would end with him still not having a signature food. But throughout the episode, he would try to find what food he liked. And I do love eating. I do love food, and I should have my own signature food, which you would find out later on. Very pixely. I think I exported this in AVI because I don't think this was the episode, but later on I would edit in Windows Movie Maker, which is the only editing software I had at the time, and it wouldn't accept QuickTime, which I could export QuickTime in Toon Boom, but Windows Movie Maker, which I had at the time, didn't have that. Oh, I was actually proud of this animation. I don't know why, of me going through the fridge. I think I even like the performance. But yeah. The design of the Sergio character kept changing. Episode 1, he did look very off, especially the hair. But later on, every episode, it would slightly be changed. Until 2011, when I decided to redraw him, especially the head. And that ended up being the character from now on in 2011. But we'll get to it when we get to it. My sister still wanted to be on the show. Good for her. It was funny because she get to enjoy this and calling me fat. Which is such a realistic thing little sisters do. Kind of. Yeah, this is food I actually do love. Rice, bacon, cheeseburger, tuna. Love tuna. This is a very long step just to be called fat, but that's what I was trying to get to. Her performance is not bad in this episode. I think there was one episode where her performance was off, but I don't remember which one. I'll get to it when I get to it. Wait a minute. Something else is familiar. Oh, could this also be the audio? Oh yeah, this episode, the audio is actually pretty bad, and the reason why is I originally recorded the show on a special iPod recording accessory connected to an iPod, and the audio quality was very, very good. But there was a time in season 1 where the iPod was broken. Not the accessory, the iPod was broken, so it couldn't record. So I was like, oh god, what can I record for the show when I keep it going? So I had a very cheap desktop microphone, computer microphone. It sounded god awful, and I don't know how to fix it. And that was unfortunate. But that was like that for a couple episodes. But then it worked, and it became the recording device for the show up until episode 110. Yeah, episode 110. Because episode, I think, 111 and onward was done with a completely different microphone. But that was the recording device was the audio recording device for the series. Now, what you're seeing here is an elimination process based on a TV show that I don't know why I parodied this. Honestly, back then I was like, this is cringy because I'm poking fun of a TV show that lost its relevance even at that time of this certain TV show. I regretted it. I hate it so much that I end up having to alter it in like the special edition of this. The edited version has the TV show removed. I can use the copyright reason excuse for it, but yeah, that was a terrible decision of a joke, especially when I didn't pull it off and it wasn't relevant. It was awkward. Yeah, that was bacon show. Ugh. But it was funny how it came out. That he picked bacon and bacon didn't pick him back. It happens. It happens with food. But yeah, that TV show joke was one of the worst jokes ever made. Cringy. I didn't like it. That was episode 5. Wow. God, it's a learning experience. Yeah, I don't expect to make a fantastic show right off the spot. I would keep learning and figuring it out. Episode 5 was one of those things where it's a good idea, but some of them are good, some of them are terrible, but you're learning along the way. Episode 6. This one. Hendrik and Mr. Puppety. These characters I created back in 2008, in the summer of 2008. But let me first start with episode 6. I remember I was like thinking of a 6th episode. I couldn't think of a story, but I thought of segments, thought of different ideas. Thought of introducing my characters Hendrik and Mr. Puppety. I thought, let me see, something about cartoonists, something about animators. Do they take steroids? You know, so athletes do. Well, cartoonists can. How about I make a monologue, a segment about that, and something else? And yeah, I think it was that. I also introduced another character, Knucklehead, based on you know, that classic joke of, what are you looking at, Knucklehead? And I was like, what if he's a character? What if he really is? And what if he's depressing? Because yeah, nobody respects knuckleheads. So that's where the character that came out. Enough said. I kind of think appeared later on, but I'll get to it when I get to it. But yeah, this episode was just segments put together. And I was also determined to make the episode 10 minutes long. It's edited to less than 10 minutes, of course, but yeah, this is supposed to be 10 minutes, and it was kind of exactly 10, but let's see. This was just segments. I think I wrote a script for this episode, but it was just like pencil writing on a notepad kind of script. Hendrik and Mr. Puppety. I remember I drew them on a family vacation while I was in a hotel, thinking about what I like. And as a kid, I loved puppets. And I thought of this gag of this one little, like, those little hand puppets just yelling at a grown young person. And him like, oh boy. And that's where the creation came about. And I made, as of this recording, 3 shorts. So, yeah, these characters are about 10 years old. Their first appearance, I think this episode came out in 2009, so they'll also be 10 years old pretty soon. And yeah, I like his head animation, Mr. Puppety. He's Mr. Puppety, but originally called Mr. P, but I realized that name was taken, so I had to rename him from the second short on. But yeah, Mr. Puppety is excited, always wanted to entertain because he's a puppet. And Hendrik is like, no, I don't want this. Yeah, they look kind of rough because I think they're not the first drawings, but one of the earliest drawings on marker on paper. I scanned them into Toon Boom, then I rigged them, and that's how their designs look like that. Later on, I would clean them up. But yeah, the head animation of Mr. Puppety is cute. A little bit off. You can see it's like going a little off of the body, but yeah. I like this little puppet yelling at this grown young person over here. They're arguing and bickering. I created like an animated short for them in 2009. And then another one 2014. Another one 2017. And, I hope you expect them in the future. I hope you like these characters. I know a couple of them do. And there's just a big shot of pixelation right here. Ugh. AVI, Alright. I'm also let down on this. Sergio Tunes. I think I colored this on later because there was another segment of this later on in the series, but we'll get to that too. Knucklehead. I do like the design. It is like a knucklehead. Fingernail on the back, but most of his head is knuckle. He's also very upset and depressed. The arms move like that because the arms are rigged, but not the elbows. The Sergio character's elbows are rigged, but these arms, no. I decided to just animate them like frame by frame. Just move the arms frame at a time, and I just pick a frame of how bent I want the arm is, instead of just animating the arm bent. So that's why their arms are very staticky. I'll only move when it looks like it was drawn and moved. That'll be easier to animate that way. Yep. Yeah, I just cut the arms, turned them at an angle, drew in the missing lines. It still look good with like the limitations of that. I'm drinking water, by the way. Yeah, he was a pretty cliche cartoon, sad voice. And doesn't do that much movement. A lot of arm movements, which I always do in the series. You obviously know that. A lot of arm poses, movements. Going here and there, everywhere. Yep. I think at the time, I was also trying to figure out the arm sizes of my character, Sergio. Yeah. The animation of the arms was never the best. And also another recurring problem that I always have with the arm animation is the hands. Because the hands were positioned the wrong way where the character's positioned. Like when he points, it's in a weird opposite, like non-human direction. It's always up. I'm like, he's pointing. That's all that matters. But yeah, whenever you see early on the animation of the arms is always really crude, and you can tell where the rig is cut off or the arm is cut off. Yeah, the arm animation was always tough to work on at the time. Now I fixed it. I just think redid the arms. Yeah, reworked the arms. Oh, I cut out the steroid moment. Yeah, that makes sense. A little too awkward. It was awkward because I was like just trying to speak out my opinion, but it wasn't funny and didn't work. Didn't work. Nothing about it was poignant other than me just wondering about it. And that was episode 6. Yeah, it probably took me 2 months or so to work on. Episode 7. Well, episode 7 is actually one of my personal favorite episodes. It's one of my favorite episodes of season 1. I kind of know why, even though it is a weird episode again, but I actually like making this. I like making it, and this was like one of the early moments where I was like, this episode's coming along well. Kind of is generally entertaining. This had more comedy. And comedy really coming from me getting hurt. Because all the boring things I was doing might as well be cartoon self getting hurt. Because what you can do in cartoons is you can hurt yourself so much, and you can still survive. All you have to do is voice act yourself getting pained, ow, and then animate to that, yay! Yeah, this episode had some fun moments. Very good, well done moments. Still early, still primitive, but it was cute and charming. At least this came off more cute and charming. And this had legit funny, energetic moments. I really did work on this in a very exciting way. Yep. Me shooting from a cannon to a brick wall, because cartoons can do that. And yeah, there is a white void behind him. I didn't like doing backgrounds, so there have been too many moments where the backgrounds are just white. But it worked here because all you gotta focus on is just a cannon, me, and the brick wall. Look at that brick wall. It's just getting ready. Yeah, that's a book I have. I love that book. Cheeseburger. That one was funny. I was doing stuff in the air. That's classic cartoon stuff. I love that I get to do classic cartoon stuff. Here I am with the cell phone I had at the time. Fake talking to Juan because he isn't in this episode, but I want to bring him up because he will keep coming to the show. Yep. It is hilarious. Very simple too. These grayish lines in the background. And that brick wall still there. Oh, you think I'm getting ready to get hurt? You think I'm ready to get hurt? Well, here it comes. Here I'm gonna get hurt. Nope. And that looks like a butt right there. It's not supposed to look like a butt when he made that pose, but the way the legs on that part were drawn, it came out looking like that. But I was like, hilarious enough. Look at me, just being full of myself as always. Thinking, you think I'm gonna get hurt? No, son. No. And just like that, I'm gonna get hurt in seconds. Yeah, that arm thing was weird. And yes, I did get hurt. My sister hurt me. I think she liked recording for that. Yeah, that one was that's funny. I didn't get hurt, but I got hurt anyway. For being full of myself. I just replayed that. Oh, this one I liked. Because that's just a drawing of me being flat. Because, when you're flat as a cartoon, you can do that. But the thing following up, that was... Yep. That was actually a really early testing of hand-drawn animation. That was done frame by frame. It was just a couple of frames, but it was done like that. So... And I did the hand-drawn animation for that by actually just getting paper, I think tracing paper, drawing myself flat and doing a couple of frames of me trying to blow myself up, and then scan them into Toon Boom and lining them up, coloring them in, and that's how it was done. Paper into Toon Boom. I didn't use the Wacom tablet. But it looked good. It looked really good for the time. And I love this segment. I'm just falling off a cliff, and while I'm falling off, I'm getting hurt. I remember I animated the cliff falling first and then the segment right here later on. Yeah, the cliff falling thing was first, and I actually loved it. I think I uploaded it once as by itself. Yeah, I loved this scene. I was very proud of this at the time. There's a rock shaped like a fist, and this rock shaped like a It's still funny, even crudely animated and simply animated, because it was like a funny concept. Oh, and I love this cliche. I love this cliche that I parodied right here. It's like, oh, he's hanging only by a branch. What's gonna happen to him? This really was a fun episode to make, and it came out well. Pretty good. Look, only a stronger branch or a stronger rock. Look at him. You see, I'm just fine. Oh, I would still fall anyway because of a rock came out. Oh, this one a slingshot. Yep. I guess I wouldn't land on the ground. I would just, instead of being shot back up and get hurt again. It was a fun episode. I don't know what's wrong with the foot alignment there. I think later on I fixed that. Oh, this one, my little sister came back again. It was kind of awkward. This was an awkward segment. But it was fun. Both of my sisters were in this episode. This is also pretty cartoony. The arms are supposed to be stretching. But it came out really bad because I didn't draw the arms. I just used the transform tool in Toon Boom and just stretched it that way. But it came off badly done. Really awkward. In hindsight, I should have just drawn arms that look stretchy and then use a stretch tool or something like that. I know, my little sister's performance, I think it was adorable, but yeah, look, you see it wasn't that well stretched. It looked a little dinky. Dinky, stinky. Yeah, this segment didn't come out too well. It didn't come out all that well. 5 hours later, huh? And that's just one static drawing of a gosh darn air spray, whatever. What's with this one? Oh yeah, it ended early because, yeah, edited again. This originally had a segment called Animation News, but I was bringing stuff that was already outdated. Even at the time of 2009, I think. Yeah, 2009. This took place in 2009. I brought up some animation moments from 2009, but it was awkward and copyright reasons, so it got cut out. Just ended the episode like that. But even then, as it is, it's a pretty good episode. Pretty good episode. Not that bad. I enjoyed it. Season 8. This was a pretty insane episode. Let me see. How did it start? Oh, I went to New York on a trip to New York with my friend Juan. And while we were going to New York, we had fast food. We had cheeseburgers. We both love cheeseburgers so much. Juan was the one that suggested, hey, you should put that in your show. You like cheeseburgers. It was a certain fast food company that I'm not going to mention, but yeah, cheeseburgers. So, I thought, yeah, how can I do that? How about a soap opera with cheeseburgers called All My Burgers? So that's how that episode came about. But making the episode was a mess. I had this new laptop at the time, but it was super broken already. So the first minute or two of the show was made, but then technical difficulties caused the laptop to break. And I didn't save it on a flash drive or anything else. So I had to reanimate the whole first minute or so of the episode all over again. But the episode was not that well taken care of, as you can see. It's just very pixely. The color is really off. I'm trying to remember what happened, but it could have been me playing with the AVI settings and Toon Boom and how I exported it. But yeah, this is also an episode where the character got slightly cleaned up design. You know, the hair is sharper. And I think I drew the front view in this one, or I think later on. But I love the performance, though. I do love that. I was trying to make a dramatic soap opera performance over a cheeseburger. But it's how it happened. A lot of dramatic performances. Never seen a soap opera once, but I've seen cliches of it, and jokes and parodies. So, good enough, right? But it was a fun episode. Another example of those hands just being badly positioned. Yeah, it was edited pretty weird. But yeah, this was a certain cheeseburger from a certain company. But I was like, oh no, copyright reasons again. Well, be better re-edit it with a regular cheeseburger over it. Yay! But it still worked, you know. I'm so weepy in this episode. It's hilarious. Yeah. But this still episode, it comes off a little fun and awkward. But no, it was a fun episode. Still, how it looked, even though it still looks so off. Yep, I love that joke. Spicy chicken sandwich, and that's good. It really was all over the place. But it was a fun episode. At the time that I made this episode, I decided to actually release the episode piece by piece. Probably because the episode took so long to make, I decided to how about I take what I have done so far and release it in parts. I think it was in 3 or 4 parts. Oh yeah, that Coke and Mentos thing. That Coke and Mints. Yep, that was based on something at the time. People still love that. So I decided to joke it and make a bigger joke later in the series. This is my sister still trying to act again. The editing is kind of choppy. Oh, this is a background. I forgot. Yeah, I drew a background. It was a simply drawn background, of course. I mean, the chair is white, and there's more design on the potted plant than the chair. Even the stool has a color. Oh, that was funny. That one was funny. I just cry. My sister just punches me because because the joke is she's like, this is just so dumb, which it is. And I'm glad my sister is the one that's just saying this. I like that line. That last line, that was good. Wow, it's grainy. It's very grainy. I gotta figure out. Yep, front view, Sergio. I think this was the first episode with front view. Because I did make the show on the spot, and I only made the character 3/4. By episode 2, I was like, ugh. Oh, this one! I like that. It came off funny in cartoon form. Yeah, Juan was game for this. I referenced a line from a certain movie in this part. Even though I hate that movie so much, that line is just so funny. So it was a line for the show. God, I hate that line. Even though it works in this episode. It works. It's ridiculous. So ridiculous. God, I'm really acting dramatically in this episode, even though it's so darn ridiculous. But yeah, front view Sergio. I made this episode on the spot, so it only had 3/4. I kept using 3/4 Sergio pose in so many moments in the episode, So I'm like, I gotta draw him front view, and I gotta start drawing a lot of these characters front view and other angles. So later on, he did. I did. Me being so upset again that my friend, he betrayed me. He betrayed me. This one was funny also. Like, I have the answer, and it's a kick in the nuts. Oh. The animation of that was actually good. Because I got some air when I got kicked in the nuts. Like, when she kicked me, I flew in the air a teeny bit and then landed on the ground. That was good. That was pretty good. Simplistic animation right there. Very good. Yeah, her acting was off, but it worked. It worked in this episode. Yeah, I tried my best to like hide. Yeah, I used that background's a photo. Shouldn't have been a photo, but for the location, I was like, I'll use a photo. I think it's too pixely to notice, but I don't know anymore. Yeah, it could be too pixely, too grainy to notice, but it will be a mess because I don't have the original files for this. I ever tried to change the background, but yeah, I zoomed in because I think I had to hide something, a certain logo. But yeah, this is too pixely or grainy to notice. You can tell everything's pixely except the cheeseburger, like it's censoring something. Yay, we're friends again. Ooh. And it ends in a cliffhanger because it doesn't matter. Yeah, that episode. Yeah, fun, unique little episode. It was out of the ordinary for the show even then in season 1. I mean, it's a soap opera, but the show is supposed to show that animation is what you can do whatever you want. So the show is never one consistent thing. It could be sketch comedy, talk show, soap opera, story arc episode. It could be whatever. I mean, that's the glory of animation. Episode 9. Wow. 9. Interesting episode. Now, I always wanted to do things in animation, so one of the things I thought that I wanted to do was time travel. I wanted to go back in time, and I thought, why and what reason? And I was like, just to be what kind of cartoon I could be at the time. Because this character was created in late 2000s, it doesn't have an illustrious history, In 2018, it's only 10 years old. Excuse me. So, what if he tries to build his own history and try to be a different kind of cartoon in the area that he goes to, What is this character like in the 10s, 20s, 30s, all the decades he never got to be an existing cartoon character. And it's funny, he has his own time travel room. And it's a background, a crudely background, but it's a nice background. It's funny, I knew this was going to be a recurring thing, him time traveling. So what if every segment of the time machine is changed? Somebody else does it. Since it's going to be every decade. So I did project that this was going to be a pretty lasting show even back then. If I had segments and moments that could come back like this. Yep. That was actually a good little animation of him stepping back. Pretty good. How this is cranked because this is 1910s. 1910s? 1900s, right? Yep, 1900s. Yeah, space. That never happened yet. We got to, but I love the recurring joke that was going to go to space. Because that's something a lot of cartoons end up doing. They go to space in so many shows and movies. So ultimately, will the character go to space? We'll see. But I love that it's a will he, ultimately won't he kind of thing. So I liked how it came out. Now, originally he went to an actual other animated cartoon from the 1900s. But copyright reasons caused me not to do that, so gosh darn it. But I did have like a copyright moment with this, but later on it got disappeared, so maybe it was cleared. But ultimately I decided to take it out and just replace it with quick drawings of the characters and fades and effects. Make it quick. My sisters bring up time travel logic. I actually bring in a clown with me, which is funny. But the character was very self-aware about the problems with time travel. You know, he's seen a number of time travel movies. Some good, some terrible. Oh, this is front view Sergio again. Yeah, I'm glad I drew him as soon as possible, so you can see him in other angles than just 3/4. Later on he'll get other angles, but the front view and side view 3/4 mostly used. Yeah, I got water with me, flipping through pages, and I have some napkins. Yep, the plausible retract button. I like that idea. It was kind of lazy writing because how can you fix any issues with time travel? Just have a button prepared to fix itself just in case you do something wrong. I thought that was lazy yet clever, just to not make it a whole hullabaloo, story-wise and logic-wise. Yeah, I like that I make my sister like the "Are you kidding me?" kind of logic of the show, for whatever time it has. This one's a funny moment. This one's a funny joke coming up. Again, I get hurt, but it's a really fun way. Yeah, that was funny because I was questioning the logic and I got hurt. Animation of that was okay. Yeah, that was pretty nice how I got hurt with the time travel machine. Oh, this moment, there's gonna be one little piece of animation that kind of is historical to the show, because the first 9 episodes of the show, the character does not blink. I forgot that. My little sister at the time, Marilyn, who was like 7 years old at the time, noticed that, and I did not notice that. So there was this animation where I make his eyes close, and it looked so good, I decided to use it. There it is. That eye close, I decided to use those frames and make it blink. So episode 10 and onwards, I remember to always have the character blink. So from episode 10 to forever, the character blinks, and it's those couple of frames. So, yeah, first 9 episodes, the characters never blink, but now they do, thanks to my little sister and those 2 frames at the end of episode 9. Season finale, episode 10. Yeah, it's a 10 episode season. At first, was it 10 episodes at the time? Yeah, I decided to make it a 10 episode season. It's easier to organize and set everything up, even though the episodes were short. And a lot of animated shows are always between 13? 22 for a lot of them, and sometimes 13. But now more TV shows have 10 for some reason. Back then, the 10 episode season was never really done. You know, I made the series, 10 episodes as a season. But then no one ever did. But then all of a sudden, this happened. Nowadays, a lot of shows are 10 episode seasons for some reason. Coincidence? Yes, it is. But it makes sense. 10 nice even episodes. When I get to the season finale of season 10, it would be the 100th. So it works. It's nice and organized. So animation news. It came back after episode 7. But the jokes were outdated. I think I retired it then. I don't remember. But I ended up retiring it just because I cannot catch up, because it takes a long time to make a cartoon. So news immediately becomes old. So never really lasted, that segment, animation news. But I'm glad to end it quick. I had a nice reporting moment with Juan. Yeah, I love that joke. He's like trying to do news and animation, but animation takes a long time to make, that no news works. Like, there are moments in production where while I'm animating, I always see the latest news. And when the episode's done, like that news that I learned is outdated. So it's been done, or the movie just came out, kind of thing. It happens when you make a cartoon. I like scratching his head. That's some realistic personality. I scratch my head off, back of my head all the time. Now, this was fun. I thought about this like in a car ride. Like, what if the show ends after episode 10? Only because the leader of a certain website told me not to. It's the idea is based on a joke in a certain TV show. So I just reworked it as my own. But I ended up letting it go like years later. Yeah. But it was a recurring thing. But then, yeah, I let it go. I let it go in recent years, actually. Yeah, the animation's more energetic. It's still not perfect. One problem I keep facing is like whenever the Sergio character lifts up his arms, the back end of the sleeve, like you see, seeps into the head. It goes over the mouth. You see it all the time. Now when I animate and do that, I gotta be careful not to be sure that the sleeve is over the face. Now, this one was interesting. This one was pretty interesting. Because this actually had an image. This was a character with an image and arms and legs representing the website. But legal reasons, I had to edit it for the edited edition. I went back to my files, found out this still existed. I think you just saw a frame of the image. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I had to mask everything over and go back to the original rigged puppet of this and block it with just shapes and grading colors. And it's so weird to see that because that was redone in 2017 while all the animation is done in 2009. It's so weird. But it's so, yeah, it is just weird. That took a while. Ultimately, re-editing the first 100 episodes of the show took 5 months. 5 months to rework 100 episodes. I had to figure out which episodes just needed to be edited, and which episode just need to be reworked completely by just taking some pieces of animation and rethinking of the episode entirely and re-record them from scratch and just edit the animation to the voice recordings. So long 5 month painful process, but at least the show is in some way a whole. I know what you're thinking, but that's not the whole I'm thinking. I'm thinking of a series whole. But this was funny. This part coming up is funny. It's like, oh, I'm gonna be okay. Bah! Huh. A lot of these animation poses started to get better. And here it is supposed to be a dramatic scene with no background. But I kept it a secret, and also I was too lazy to draw backgrounds back then. The shadows you see in back and front, of course, the lighting's super off to make that. But there was a special shadow tool in Toon Boom. But I liked how dramatic it was. Alright. I missed a couple of drawings. You see there were some that weren't supposed to be in there. Wow, this was funny trying to kill him. And also I decided to destroy the set. And it's like, yeah, the set of the show can be better now. So I decided to destroy it ultimately. That's some weird ass screaming. And he's gonna get died from mallet in the head. But yeah, I like the idea that the set is being destroyed. Because later on I would get a new set. The upcoming episode is gonna be one of the last moments with the original set. Oh, that one was good. That was like a big cut. The animation is very simple, but like how this is supposed to be dramatic. Oh, I hit him with a chair, the office chair, and everything's made out of porcelain because it breaks so easily. Porcelain, ceramic, whatever. Why did you say where are you when there's only one set? That's just letting people know puedo hablar español. I can speak Spanish. Animation's simple, but it has a little charm to it when it's done right. Yep. Like he's evil, but then he's like, no, I'm nice. No, Yep, like, that's how the website works. Mm-hmm. This will be a touching moment, even though I tried to kill him, but I think I brought it up. Yeah, I went with a different voice. I think it was a nyam 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 kind of voice. Yep, it was like that. There was a speech that he made that my show isn't good enough for the website. It should be for TV. I'm like, yep, that's me being full of myself. How dare I? But I'm a nice guy. I'll forgive him for trying to kill me. This is a cartoon. It can happen like that. I made it very loosely and I was too rebellious about it. And this is me foreshadowing the brand new set. And yeah, the set was fun to make. I'll get to it soon. Now that's how we end the very first season. Yep. And me being desperate again for attention. Yeah. Have an animated day, folks. That was a complete first season commentary of The Sergio Show. Needless to say, it was a pretty wild ride, just season one. Me trying to figure out how the show works, while just also trying to make the show, and just everything around me at the time. It was crazy, but pretty fun. And the series would still continue even then. So thank you, and have an animated day.